So everybody, we are now in August, which means that next month Apple is set to debut and announce their brand new iPhone 16 lineup of iPhones. So let's talk about everything that we expect, because there are going to be some major changes coming that will really benefit the user at the end of the day. But before we do get started, do consider subscribing to the channel as well as becoming a channel member to get some awesome wallpapers for your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac, as well as some other awesome perks. But without further ado, let's talk about the iPhone 16 because I'm excited for it. Before we jump into the speculation of the iPhone 16 lineup, let's talk about the release date, the expected pre-order date, the expected announcement date, and we're going to kind of work backwards with last year. So last year, Apple announced their iPhone 15 and 15 Pro lineup on September 12th, and then we were able to pre-order it that Friday, and that following Friday, they started to be delivered to customers. So if we kind of work off of that, the anticipated announcement date for this year is going to be September 10th, with pre-orders happening that Friday, and then September 20th would be the actual receive day for everybody that pre-ordered their iPhones. And that is what it's going to be looking like in terms of announcement, pre-order date, and then finally to be able to receive it and be able to actually use our new iPhone 16s. And now in terms of what to expect, we're in kind of an interesting situation, especially with all this new Apple Intelligence that's happening, their AI, and kind of the different supported devices, because as of right now, the only iPhone that supports Apple Intelligence, or that will support Apple Intelligence, is going to be the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, because they're using the A17 Pro chip. Unfortunately, if you just bought an iPhone 15 or 15 Plus, you will not get Apple Intelligence support because, again, Apple's saying that it's a hardware limitation in terms of power and things like that, but I really do think Apple could give us some version of Apple Intelligence to the older phones. But if you do want to be able to use Apple Intelligence today, you're going to have to be on 18.1 and then be using the A17 Pro enabled iPhone. And that is a segue into the iPhone 16 lineup, because that's going to be the first update for the iPhone 16. For the 16 and the 16 Plus, we will be getting the A17 Pro chip most likely from the 15 Pro and Pro Max and bringing it down, quote unquote, to the iPhone 16 lineup. So that'll open up the doors in terms of being able to use things like Apple Intelligence moving forward, and it'll future-proof you a little bit. Again, Apple is kind of playing this game of giving us enough features from both a hardware and software perspective to then future-proof yourself, but you don't want to upgrade too soon because, for instance, last year, USB-C coming to the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus was a big deal. So everybody was saying, you know what, just get those iPhones to future-proof yourself because Lightning is going to be gone, Apple's not going to be using Lightning, USB-C is going to be the way to go. But now the people that didn't upgrade are in a better spot, because with the iPhone 16, they'll be getting USB-C, of course, and then also they'll be getting the A17 Pro, which enables Apple Intelligence. So unfortunately, it's hard to time these things, so obviously just buy the iPhone that's going to fit your needs, and if you need to upgrade, gone are the days of needing to upgrade every single year. I mean, I don't know if that was ever a need specifically, but now I really don't recommend upgrading unless you have maybe a 4, 5, or even 6-year-old iPhone, but even then, sometimes they still work, and Apple still supports them from an OS standpoint. Some other big changes coming to the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus specifically is going to be the camera arrangement. So the arrangement is going to change from that diagonal side-by-side look to now a vertical orientation. And now the main reason they're doing this is going to be for spatial video. So you may notice if you have a 15 Pro or Pro Max, you can actually record spatial video because of the orientation of the cameras, and you have the combination of the ultra-wide and the wide-angle lenses to then be able to take that spatial video that can then be replayed in a Vision Pro. If you have a 15 or 15 Plus, you cannot take spatial video. So that's going to be fixed with the new release of the 16 and the 16 Plus with vertical orientation to be able to have those side by side when you are holding it in landscape mode. In terms of the sizes, it's still going to be the same. We're still going to have dynamic island on the front. We're still going to have the same exact display tech. It's still going to be 6.1 and 6.7 inches respectively. So that's all good to know. And then one more big change that we're already seeing pictures of kind of floating around in the ether, I guess, or in the Twitter sphere, is going to be much bolder colors. Recently, when Apple has been releasing these colors, especially with the, I guess, lower iPhone price points, the colors are very dull, very muted. Like, yes, you're getting like a blue version or a green version, but it's a very, very, very light kind of pastel-y color that mostly looks white depending on how the light hits it, and sometimes it gives you a hint of that color that you're actually getting, but for the most part it is a very dull color. Supposedly now Apple's coming out with much more vibrant colors that are very specific, and they're going to be in the white color, black, blue, green, and pink. So they're going to be much more vibrant, way more saturated, and it's going to look like an actual color as opposed to maybe a hue or a hint of that same color. But that is the iPhone 16 lineup, the expectations. So new A17 Pro chip, ability to use Apple Intelligence, new colors coming your way, and then the new camera orientation for spatial video. Now let's talk about the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, and the Pro Max is the one that I'm probably going to gravitate towards. And some of the major changes, the first one is that we're actually going to get a bump in screen size and phone size. As we saw last year, Apple didn't actually make the screen bigger with the 15 Pro and Pro Max, but they made the bezels a little bit slimmer, so it actually changed the footprint of the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max compared to the previous year. Made it lighter, made it thinner, made the edges more rounded off, and just a little bit easier to wield and hold. But now Apple's going with 6.3 inches and 6.9 inches respectively on the Pro and Pro Max, and making the phone footprint a little bit bigger. It's going to be even bigger than the 14 Pro and Pro Max footprint, not by much, but it will be a little bit bigger to fit those larger displays. So now we're getting into that phablet territory. If you guys remember from the 2012s when Samsung was making those gigantic phones, and at that point they were like 5.5 inches, and people thought that was insane. But now we're going to 6.9 inches on the 16 Pro Max. Let me know in the comment down below what you think of that. We will get upgraded internals as well, so the A18 Pro will be the chipset or the next one. It's going to be the same 3nm process. There isn't going to be any leaps and bounds different. Probably going to be a 10 to 20% increase in CPU and GPU performance, but nothing out of this world, and I'm sure Apple will kind of market it to us as the next latest and greatest and the absolute best chip that they've ever made. But if you compare it to the previous year, it'll probably only give you a 5 or 10% boost. Another big upgrade coming is going to be an upgrade to the ultra-wide camera on the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. We're going to go from the 12 megapixel shooter to a 48 megapixel shooter. And the ultra-wide camera in great lighting conditions with the current setup is great, but the moment you have bad lighting, it starts to get noisy. You can tell right away that it's not the same type of quality that you get out of the main sensor with the 48 megapixel sensor. So bringing a 48 megapixel camera over to the ultra-wide is going to be a great thing for photographers, videographers, and especially for spatial video to make sure that you're actually getting the most crispness out of it in terms of megapixel counts and resolution. Another cool thing that's coming is that you might have noticed if you got a regular 15 Pro, you did not get that 5x optical zoom, but now the 16 Pro will be getting that periscope 5x optical zoom, as well as the 16 Pro Max, so there won't be a difference in terms of the amount of optical zoom that you can get. And then also Apple's adding this anti-reflective coating onto the camera sensors to reduce any noise, and also especially fix lens blur. If you guys have seen when you take pictures, especially at night, there is kind of like that glowing lens blur effect that some people, for the most part, don't like. Some people use it for artsy photos and things like that, so there is a use case for it, but normally it's a filter. But lens blur should be fixed with this new anti-reflective coating that they should be adding onto the sensors. And that coincides with the brand new sensor that they're going to be using from Sony for the main camera for that 48 megapixel camera, and it's supposed to be about 2 times better in low light conditions. And the last change that we're going to see is going to be for the colors. So I believe they're going to be getting rid of natural titanium. Hopefully they don't, because that's the color that I've been using with the 15 Pro, and I love it. But we will be getting a brand new rose color, which is supposed to be a little bit more on the bronze side, because again, we're still sticking with the titanium build, but we're getting the rose color, space gray, black, as well as white. So those are going to be the colors for the new 16 Pro and Pro Max. This year, I might actually go with either the white or the black. Let's see what the rose color looks like. I'm curious to see, but those are all the upgrades that we know coming for the new iPhone 16 lineup, both on the regular 16 as well as the 16 Pro and Pro Max. Let me know in the comment down below what you think. Is this enough to make you upgrade? What iPhone are you going to be coming from if you do upgrade? I currently have the 15 Pro Max. I'm probably going to end up giving that one to a family member and then upgrading myself to the 16 Pro Max, but only because I'm using it for reviews and things like that. If I wasn't doing that, then I probably would not upgrade unless I maybe had a 12 series iPhone, depending on what I was using it for and things like that. So let's see exactly how Apple showcases this, what new things we get, how they're going to market it, and then lastly, what the price points are going to be, because it's all going to be a very curious thing to see. But that'll do it, everybody. Let me know in the comment down below what you think. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin as well in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, be sure to click on the top video right there, because that's what YouTube thinks you're going to like. And if not, I picked a video for you down on the bottom. But that'll do it, everybody. I'm Fernando, and until next time, peace. We're officially in iPhone season, everybody.